Member Mark Stewart, and today I'm joined by two of our community superintendents. Dr. Camille Castile is the superintendent for Chandler Unified School District. Dr. Castile has been with Chandler Unified for 49 years and serving in a number of positions, including a teacher, curriculum specialist, principal, assistant superintendent, associate superintendent, and Chandler Unified superintendent since 1996. Welcome, Dr. Castile. Also joining me is Dr. Jan Vesely, superintendent for Kyrene School District. Dr. Vesely brings Kyrene more than 40 years of experience in a variety of educational settings as a teacher, a principal, principal supervisor, executive director, education business leader, chief education officer, assistant, and deputy superintendent. You guys are very qualified. Welcome to this discussion. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Well, there's a lot going on, and I think this is a great opportunity for Chandler and the surrounding communities. I know the school districts extend into Tempe and a little bit in Mesa and Gilbert. So it's important, I think, for our community to see that we're doing some things, that we're taking action, we're creating some innovation to help teach our kids and move forward through this crisis. So I've got a handful of questions I'm just going to ask, and we'll ham and egg it here, and we'll have a good discussion. So COVID-19 obviously has forced our schools to take innovative approaches to educational offerings for our students. So tell us about that shift online and how that's working for each of the school districts, if you don't mind. Dr. Castile, you want to start? I should have done that, yeah.
Well, I think the shift to the online has, presented a number of challenges, especially in a K-12 arena. Our high schools are proceeding along much more easily with the amount of curriculum that was already online. And our K-6 schools, we have a hybrid model where some of it is being printed out and handed out to our families and others being received online. We're doing a tremendous amount of training, especially with our elementary teachers on the Google Classroom. One of the challenges we faced, I guess, an unintended consequence is the limited number of devices in our homes. Some homes have parents working from home and children in school, and the access to the devices is limited for them. So the level of stress is extremely high. Other families have the devices, but no internet access. So it's been challenging, to say the least.
That is, are you experiencing the same thing, Dr. Vesely?
So very similar to Chandler's challenges. We took a phased approach to the rollout of online learning, really first beginning with extensive optional educational activities online. We then layered in teacher hours and availability, and that gave us time as we distributed laptops and paper materials as needed and addressed, to the extent possible, the internet connectivity. And then once that we knew our students had what they needed to ensure equitable access to distance learning, we started launching our formal online instructional platforms. These platforms are giving families a variety of options, from daily lessons in core subjects like math and English language arts to additional weekly lessons in enrichment areas such as visual arts, music, PE, computer science. And as Dr. Castile mentioned, every family circumstance is really different, and we're very sensitive to that. But parents do have the ability to determine their children's level of participation, and they can largely schedule their own schedules on a daily activity, because we know that that's also a challenge for families. So for us, flexibility and a wide array of options have been our key components of the system that Kyrene has built. And the curriculum, I have to give a hats off to our teachers, because it was collaborative work of nearly 200 Kyrene teachers. And it's grade level appropriate, engaging, and interactive. So many, many thanks to our educators who really stepped up to create the online platform.
That's great. And you know what? We're seeing that in a lot of places where just people are stepping up and they're moving forward and they're trying to adapt and improvise and be innovative in those things. So that's remarkable here. And it's perfectly said that it's the teachers that are helping to sort of drive some of those things. So it's great. I'm sure that's why this is moving as well as it is, and why it's been adopted. So, keeping that framework. So how do you think that this shift will affect future education in our community? What do you think is going to happen moving down the path here?
Well, I think you'll see more online presence in the educational community, certainly. We certainly will be offering online options for our families, more aggressive options. We'll have hybrid models where you might have a portion of it online and a portion of it live. I think you're going to see changes nationally, whether it's in telemedicine or even business meetings using Zoom or Teams or one of the other methods of communicating. So I think this COVID-19 is going to take us all at a very rapid rate into the technology arena.
And for Kyrene, do you expect the same thing?
I think that it's obvious that this pandemic has changed the way that we teach really forever. A little bit unusual, Kyrene is a K-8 district, unlike Chandler, that is a unified school district, which goes all the way through high school. Typically, K-8 districts don't necessarily have a need to be an approved online provider, as elementary districts do not operate on credits like a high school does. So parents generally expect K-8 environments to offer everything inclusively on our school campuses due to the need for supervision of children. However, most people have learned that almost everything now can be accomplished remotely. And I believe that the future of education will become more and more dependent, as Dr. Castile said, on instructional models that rely on technology, both learning platforms such as Google Classroom. I don't know why I couldn't say asynchronous, and synchronous such as Zoom platforms that will yield benefits when these methods are really layered face-to-face with face-to-face instruction. And I think when we come back from COVID-19, we'll have a much more widely shared understanding that digital tools are complements, not substitutes for the personal and immediacy of face-to-face learning, but that online education will be a strategic priority at every educational institution. And the post-pandemic understanding will change how schools plan for, manage, and really create those environments. I think that the COVID-19 has really become a catalyst for educational institutions worldwide to search for innovative solutions in a short period of time.
Well, it certainly has happened, and I think, like you mentioned earlier, about teachers kind of moving that torch or carrying that torch and moving forward with these technology and innovation and things like that. And I don't think we're ever going to see a time where we don't have that one-on-one teacher interaction with our students. That's so important. But implementing, or as you say, commingling this new technologies and things like that, I think are going to be they're going to be good for our kids. So speaking of teachers, students, what's morale like? What are you hearing out there?
The most common thing I'm hearing is the kids want to come back to school and the teachers want to come back to work, and they really miss each other. They miss the interaction, the friendship, the camaraderie, and morale is as strong as it can be at this level. I just think that they want to come back. Yeah. And we want them back. So hopefully things get better here pretty soon.
I couldn't agree more. We've had almost, every day we have a workplace platform which operates similar to Facebook internally for our teachers and our employees. And, the message is strong and clear out there from teachers how much they miss their kids. And teachers really build strong relationships with students, and they care deeply about students' well-being. And so you see message after message after message, similar to what Dr. Castile said about how much they miss their students, how much they want to come back. And students similarly are reaching out to us to say, when are we going to get to come back? And I miss my school, I miss my teachers, I miss my friends. And so we've been trying to send encouraging messages to both students and of course to our employees to be kind to themselves, because we know that this is a hard time for everyone, and encouraging them to be, but our number one priority right now is the safety and wellness of our families and our students and our employees. but we remind them constantly that we're in this together. And when we emerge, hopefully we'll all have a renewed appreciation for our interconnectedness, because we have genuinely missed that.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. You know, I was talking with a teacher last week that had reminded me how important the classroom is, and that normalcy for a lot of kids, right? That's the one normal time of their day is when they get to school, they get a good meal and those kind of things. So I get it. And it's good that we're talking about that, and that you're feeling that from your teachers and students. So, you know, speaking of that, so we're still in the middle of this. We're probably going to do this. Well, obviously we're not going back to school this year. What are some tips that you guys are recommending for parents and guardians that are helping students prioritize their education while it's now online? So, you know, I've got a senior over at Perry, and so she's online, and sometimes she's doing it at 8 at night, sometimes she's doing it in the morning, but it's fluid. And so we're always checking in with her. But.
Well, you mentioned having a senior. Certainly in a K-12 district, our initial priority has been with our high school students, especially those that didn't quite have their passing grades or the right number of credits, and really prioritize them, make sure they had devices and could get the acquired credits. What I'd say to all families, beyond making sure our high school graduates are ready to get their diploma, is, you know, really just focus on the health and safety and care for your family. That's the highest priority right now. We're gonna do everything we can when we start to have sufficient opportunity to review and get our students caught up so that they're not gonna lose a great deal of instruction. And I would just ask that they take care of their families so we can all come back healthy and get moving.
Thank you.
Again, being the K-8 district, you know, for younger children, keeping a daily routine is really critical and very, very essential. And I would say to families, don't schedule out every minute, because younger children have short attention spans. You know, we've had some principals that have created videos, and they talk a lot about, you know, creating a daily, you know, sort of a daily 5 checklist, but let the kids be involved in creating some opportunities and some times for some choice, and go for walks, give hugs. And for older students, like in our middle schools, we've suggested to parents, you sit down, you look at the weekly activities, and let them set a daily schedule, and then have check-ins with the students and give them praise and affirmation for their effort, their participation, and their hard work. And on our social media pages, parents can find those videos from both our middle school principals and our elementary principals with suggested routines, as well as quick tips, provide guidance and support for home learning. So like Camille said, we have asked everybody, give yourself a break. What you're doing is great. Whatever you're doing, figure out what your kids need, and build choice and build fun into the day, but don't try to schedule every minute.
Well, that's nice. It certainly is. I think with the, you kind of touched a little bit on programs there, but I like that you're empowering or recommending empowering students to plan their own day, to plan their own curriculum. I think it's kind of what we do as adults. You know, we look for a book that we want to learn something more about, or we hit a YouTube video if there's something we want to figure out. So that's really good advice. So, you know, I think if this were a television show, this would be a perfect time for a commercial break, because I think the question that everybody is kind of interested in is, what does a reopening look like down the road? Obviously, we're going to be using data from the governor's office and the Arizona Department of Health and the CDC and all those things that go into that. But, and not to put you on the spot, but I mean, what do you think that will look like in the future? What will a new normal be, if that is a good phrase to use these days?
Jan, you want to go first?
Because we're, as you suggested, Mark, that we're really awaiting guidance from the Department of Education related to our school operations once we're able to resume. Yeah. But I think people are still trying to make things fit into the paradigm that we've had, you know, really for more than a century. And I'm not sure that that's exactly the paradigm that we will see moving forward, because we, again, we're all waiting for guidance, not only from the CDC, but we're waiting for guidance from the Department of Education. But we are starting to have early discussions around how we can begin to observe recommendations with social distancing, by looking at schedules, by hybrid learning environments. We also worry about parents who may not be comfortable sending children back, even if school opens and resumes. So how do we continue to provide online options for them, because they may have children who have underlying medical conditions that makes it more uncomfortable for them to return to a normal school environment. So we're looking at all precautionary advisements, and it's very hard to be in this position because we're planners and we want to get things set and done and organized for the opening of school, but it's sort of a wait and see at this point.
And Councilman Stewart, I would agree with Jan. We are brainstorming options right now. We are an online provider, so I will pretty confident we'll have an online option for parents that are uncomfortable sending their children back. We're also looking at, is it a partial day, reducing the number of kids in a classroom, social distancing, how would you feed lunch to 600 students without putting them all in one space? I think the key is we're waiting for guidance from the governor's office, the state superintendent's office, and we will have a variety of options we'll be presenting to the board, and we'll be ready to move in whatever direction would be appropriate. You know, we certainly want to get everybody back, and whatever that new normal is, we'll be ready and adjusted to make sure our kids stay safe, our staff stay safe, and we can offer the quality opportunities that we have for many years.
Well, thank you. And, you know, if there's ever two districts that are going to dial it up and be ready if and when we go back to school in a traditional sense, it will certainly be Kyrene and Chandler Unified. I know with the teachers that I know, the teachers that have worked with my kids, when we all lock arms and we push forward, there's not anything we can't do. And you guys are a couple of the leading districts in the entire state for that exact reason. So whatever we can do at the city to support your efforts, whatever our community can do to support those efforts, I know they're going to be there. We always jump in feet first, and we're ready to go. I'm grateful for everything you're doing. I know it's tough. I know it's tough for our families out there right now, and I mean that sincerely. But we can and we will. We'll get through this. We're going to use data. We're going to use information, and we're going to have meetings like this and talk on the phone, and we'll create solutions for this. So I just want to thank you. Is there anything you want to leave that you want people to be left with before we hang up?
Well, I'm sure Kyrene, like Chandler, we have a web page that deals just with COVID, with enrichment activities, ways that you can reach out for help, resources if you are in distress, if you need support for undue stress in the family. So there's a variety of resources and options just on our website. And I would encourage you to call us if you need some help. At the same time, I want to share with the viewers that the East Valley superintendents, we communicate quite routinely. And we will be talking about things like graduation and end of the year celebrations and how we might re-enter. So hopefully we'll be able to coordinate as an East Valley community and be in alignment with each other. So I'll be scheduling a Zoom meeting with all the superintendents here in the next couple weeks, and we'll be sharing information and collaborating.
Great.
I would also like to concur with Camille's comments, and also like to thank all of our community partners, because they have been tremendous, including the City of Chandler, in terms of supporting the needs of both of our districts. We are on since the closure, we have served over 20,000 meals to families throughout our communities. We are passing out more than 200 food boxes a day at our Kyrene Resource Center. We could not do that without the support of the community. We've had volunteers, employees who have volunteered to deliver those meals, to deliver food boxes, and to be an instrumental part of whether it's delivering the paper resources for instructional materials to, to families' homes. We've done that. We've delivered computers. But the community has stepped up. The parents have been so supported, and we are very, very grateful to the entire community for their understanding, because we're trying to make sense of all of this and trying to make sure that learning continues in spite of school closure, in terms of doing our very best job to serve our families and our community. Kyrene also has lots of resources at kyrene.org/911 for information and updates about the school closures, as well as resources very similar to Chandler Unified. And so we would, of course, welcome the community to access any of those resources. I know I have grandsons who live in Tucson, and they are utilizing our online learning platforms because they're very well done, and we're very proud of them. And so we would welcome the community to utilize any resources that we have on our website as well.
Well, thank you so much. And that's just, I know that everything is moving in the right direction, and we've all locked arms. And I will definitely make sure that I'll ask if we can get those websites put on our COVID-19 page as well. I just want to thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Thank you so much, Councilman Stewart.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.